Hello again, everyone. Continuing with Tampa Bay week, I'm going to look at the Devil Rays of the MLB today. Going to save the Lightning till tomorrow. Maybe even wait till Friday to see how they do in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. So we're going to save the Lightning for then. Today, Devil Rays of the MLB. The Rays right now are currently 27-26, so they're just a game back of the AL East, which is a pretty weak division right now in the MLB. It's arguably like the most competitive one. The Jays are last in that division right now, but they're only 3.5 games back of the top spot, so it's a very tight division. But the leader of the division isn't having like an amazing record right now at like 40-12 or something crazy like that. The Rays are just a game above 500 and they're only a game back. So that just proves how you don't have to have a 100-win season or even a 90-win season to win the AL East, at least at the pace it's going. You could easily have, an 85-win season and potentially win this division. I think you want to aim for 90 bare minimum to ensure that you win it. But at this rate, a 500 season might even get you, a wild card spot or potentially win this division. So we'll see what happens. They are 3-7 in their last 10 games, so they need to turn that around. Recently they haven't been playing that well, and if they keep going down that stretch, then the Red Sox and the Jays and the Orioles will probably overtake them for that number 2 spot and possibly push them further down in that division. Like I said, it is very, very tight between the first place Yankees and the 5th place Jays. It's only 3.5 games, so they're going to have to tighten that up a little bit. Looking at their position players, when I talk about their current stats, it's going to be as of May 30th. When I get to their pitchers, it's going to be updated most recently as I can, but for their position players, their stats from this season are going to be as of May 30th, just for those who are watching in, so you have a little update with that. First, I'm going to look at what they did this offseason. They traded Zobrist and Escobar to the A's, which was an interesting trade. I think they're probably kicking themselves on trading Escobar. Zobrist maybe not so much. We'll see. Zobrist has only played 19 games this year, and he's batting .242 with only 1 homer and 10 RBIs. So he's not been producing very well since that trade, but Escobar is playing fantastic. He's now playing for the Nationals, but he's playing fantastic for the Nationals this season. Escobar is batting .318 with a couple of homers and 14 RBIs. He only had 7 all of last year, so he's easily going to eclipse that at the pace he's going. So I think maybe they're going to kick themselves for losing Escobar. We'll see what happens with that. They did sign Cabrera for the shortstop position. He's been playing okay for them. He played with Washington last year. Cabrera last year batted .229 with 5 homers and 21 RBIs, and that was just in 49 games. So now he's going to have an opportunity in Tampa to take that position and play a full season. So we'll see what he can do with a full season under his belt. They made some interesting moves with that. Like I said, I don't think they're going to be too upset about losing Zobrist. I think Escobar, if he keeps playing the way he is, they're going to look back and maybe regret trading him. But I think Cabrera is a solid shortstop as well. Escobar is listed as the third baseman with the Nationals as well. So we'll see what happens with that. Longoria obviously has been and is probably going to be the third baseman for the Rays for years to come. He's obviously the face of that franchise. If I was to say who the face of the franchise is for the Devil Rays, I would say it's Longoria, just because of his longevity with the organization, the production that he's had with that organization. I think he is the face of the franchise for sure. So I'll start with him, with the position players. I'll finish off with the pitchers, because as I've said in the past, a successful team is going to rely heavily on a good pitching staff, and I think the Rays have some pieces for a solid pitching staff, but not quite one that can take them deep into the playoffs and get them a solid season. They're playing well right now, but like I said, 3-7 in the last 10. You don't want that. So I think they need to find maybe another starter or two before they can get over that hump to compete with teams like the Yankees and this tight division that they're playing in with the AL East. Looking at Longoria first, though, he is playing really well. Not that he didn't play well last year. Last year he had a .253 average with 22 homers and 91 RBIs. But this year he's batting .280 so far this season, so that's great. You want your all-star caliber players and your number one guys to be batting at least .275. Closer to .300 is better, but .280 is solid. He's got 5 home runs and 24 RBIs, so he's on pace to reach the same totals he did last year, so that's great for them there. Loney, their first baseman, is also having a really, really good season. Last year he batted .290, which is a great batting average. He's batting .275 so far this year with a couple of homers and 11 RBIs, so he's playing well for them for sure. looking at their other infielders, you got Rivera in the catcher position. Fortunately, he's not been playing very well this season. Last year, he had a 252 average with 11 homers and 44 RBIs while playing with San Diego. But this year he's got a 160 batting average, and that's 100 points lower than even a respectable batting average. Respectable, even 260 is okay. But he's got to get that better. He has a couple homers and 9 RBIs, but the 160 batting average is not going to help. Regardless of how many homers and RBIs you have, you don't want a guy batting 160. That's not going to cut it. Beckham at the second baseman position, he's got a 213 average, so not a great average, but he's got 5 home runs, 16 RBIs, so he is producing, but got to get that average up for sure. Their other catcher, like I said, Rivera's got a 160 average. Their other catcher, Wilson's got a 152 average with 3 RBIs in the 20 games he's played. So they're not getting any production when it comes to the batting aspect of the game from their catcher position. So that's going to have to change for sure. At second base, Forsythe, he's been playing great for them. They're position players when you look at first base, second base, third base. Have been playing fantastic for them. Forsythe's got a 286 average with 5 homers and 21 RBIs, just to prove how good that is for him. Last year he had a 223 average with 6 homers and 26 RBIs. So we're just into June, and he's already almost eclipsed or at least met his RBI and home run total from last season altogether in 2 months. So he's definitely increased his game a lot. DeJesus for the DH position, been playing fantastic, a 328 average with 4 homers and 18 RBIs. Last year he did only play in 87 games, but in those 87 games he had 6 home runs and 19 RBIs. So again, he's playing a lot better. He's practically reached the home run RBI total he had last year in those 87 games in only 50 games. So that's fantastic. And a 328 average, whenever you can get a player going into June who's batting over 300, that's solid. You want to have that, especially from your DH position, because they don't play in the field, so they need to produce at the plate. That's why they're the DH position, is they need to be a guy who can drive in runs and have a solid average and hit with some power, and DeJesus can do that for sure. Looking at the outfielders, you got Geyer in left field. He's got a 295 average this year with 2 homers and 12 RBIs. That's solid right there. Kiermaier and Butler and Souza Jr. are kind of your 3 right fielders. They've kind of all been working through that. Kiermaier's got a 226 average with 3 homers and 11 RBIs. Butler's got a 309 average. It's a great average. Like I said, anything over 300 going into June, it's solid. He's got 3 homers and 8 RBIs so far this season. And then Souza Jr.'s got a 226 average, so not the greatest average, but he's got 9 homers and 19 RBIs. So your outfielders are definitely producing for you. Jennings out in center fielder. He's only played in 18 games, so obviously he was hurt the end of April, beginning of May kind of thing. But before he got hurt, he was only batting with a 222 average and only had 2 RBIs. So obviously you don't want your guys to get hurt. You don't want that, but maybe he can come back from this injury and start to turn it around. I think, like I said, Souza Jr., Butler, Kiermaier, Geyer, all those outfielders are producing for you and doing a good job. So as long as they can keep going in that direction, you're going to be solid. As long as Longoria and Forsythe and DeJesus and Loney and all these guys keep having solid average and getting on base, that's great. You do play in a division where the home run ball is pretty popular. The Blue Jays usually are top 3 in the league for home runs. Obviously the Red Sox have guys that can hit for power. Same with the Yankees. So you have guys that are going to hit for power, and you don't necessarily need that to compete in the East, but it does make it a little easier to hit the home runs. Obviously, Yankee Stadium is an easy place to hit home runs. You see a lot of home runs hit there, and you're going to play, at least 12 or so games at Yankee Stadium, so you're going to want to take that opportunity, use the guys that can hit for power there for sure, and bring in the run game as well. I think that kind of gets lost, unfortunately, in the AL East, is you don't see a lot of speedy guys in the AL East because it is a power-based division. But we'll see what happens. I think you need to have a balance to be a successful team. Looking at their rotation, I think Archer is a solid pitcher. I think he's a solid number 1, number 2 guy. And this season he's got a 2.01 ERA with a 6-4 record, and that's what you want from your ace. And I think Archer can be the ace of the Rays. Odorizzi playing great again this season with a 2.61 ERA, and he's got a 4-5 record. So we'll see what he can do. I think Boxberger is a solid closer for them. 2.70 ERA is a little high for a closer, but he's got 15 saves already on the season, so that's solid. When you look at the other 3 guys that are getting a lot of starts for him, you got Colomb, Carnes, and Ramirez. Colomb's got a 5.05 ERA, a little high. Carnes has a 3.32 ERA. That's respectable. That's what you want. And Ramirez has a 5.53 ERA. All 3 of them have a 3-2 record. But at Colomb and Ramirez, their ERA is about a 1.5 too high, in my opinion, to be a successful starter that can play a full season. So I think Archer and Odorizzi are solid couple starters for them there. I think Carnes would be a solid number 4 or 5 guy. I think they do need to find somebody that can be in that rotation at like a number 3, number 4 kind of a spot, who can get you a lot of innings and have a solid ERA. So that's where I think they're missing on the rotation. But playing in the AL East, like I said, it's a tight division. I think they got the position players that can get them there. They got a couple starting pitchers that can get them there, a solid closer. So we'll see what happens as the season progresses. Hopefully they can turn their recent 3-7 in the last 10 around, and they can continue to fight hard in this AL East. Thank you again all for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at GHAM614, and I'll finish off Tampa Bay week either tomorrow or Friday. Probably Friday. We'll see how Game 1 goes for the Lightning. Okay, thanks again. Bye-bye.